I'm Luke Summerhays, and I love Volcarona. I've always had a soft spot for moths. While colourful butterflies are almost universally beloved, their pale, fluffy cousins are often not given the same attention. I think they have a cuteness of their own, from their big eyes and soft coats, to their dopey behaviour of flying into human light fixtures. My love of moths is of course enhanced by their association with the Queen of the Monsters. First appearing in a Toho movie in 1961, Mothra is second only to Godzilla among that company's famous kaiju. While Godzilla is a vengeful spirit of vengeance against mankind for nuclear war or climate damage, Mothra is a more nurturing avatar of Mother Earth. Often worshipped as a goddess in her movies, she is beautiful and ethereal, whether working with the radioactive lizard or against it. Larvesta is a bug and fire type, white and red moth larva, with spikes protruding from its head to resemble sunbeams. That colour scheme is reminiscent of the Tower of the Sun, a monument in Osaka, Japan, which Pokemon artist Ken Sugimori cites as one of this monster's inspirations. The shape of the sunbeams on Larvesta are more like another Tower of the Sun, by the same artist Taro Okamoto, in Aichi, Japan. Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 say, "Said to have been born from the sun, it spews fire from its horns, and encases itself in a cocoon of fire when it evolves." Mothra's larval form is often depicted in the monster movies, usually performing the very Pokemon-like attack of wrapping an opponent up in webs. Pokemon White tells us, "The base of volcanoes is where they make their homes. They shoot fire from their 5 horns to repel attacking enemies." Living in a volcano, on the other hand, is very unlike Mothra. Other monsters, like Rodan, have been shown living in volcanoes, but Mothra has even been seen actually being killed by a volcano at least once. Pokemon Violet tells us, "In ancient times, Larvesta was worshipped as the emissary of the sun. However, it was also viewed as a burden, since it often caused forest fire." Mothra is very often seen being worshipped by ancient peoples, often accompanied by a pair of psychic twins, and an iconic song. The name, Larvesta, of course refers to this Pokemon being a larval form, but also brings images of molten rock to mind. A perfect Pokemon pun. The Vesta part is less obvious, though a Roman goddess by that name was represented by an eternal flame. The Japanese name is Malava, the latter part obvious, and the former coming from the Japanese onomatopoeia mera mera, for flaring, like the sun. Most players in the 5th generation probably didn't encounter Larvesta first. If they did though, they would be amazed at level 59 to see it finally evolve into Volcarona. Volcarona is a majestic moth with 6 fiery red wings and a fluffy coated body. Moths are attracted to light because, in natural nighttime conditions, the brightest light source would be in the sky, helping them to orient themselves correctly. When humans are around though, moths can be bamboozled by artificial lights. A common phrase in English for a person easily led around is "like a moth to a flame," and Japanese has a similar idiom, though it refers to bugs generally rather than moths specifically. Volcarona gives us flame from a moth. Pokemon White says, "A sea of fire engulfs the surroundings of their battles, since they use their 6 wings to scatter their ember scales." And Pokemon Black 2. "Thought to be an embodiment of the sun, it appeared during a bitterly cold winter and saved Pokemon from freezing." Volcarona is first encountered in Pokemon Black and White, waiting in the Relic Castle, as an overworld sprite, making many players mistake it for a legendary Pokemon. In New Pokemon Snap, Volcarona are seen and worshipped in ancient ruins. Like Mothra, there are legends of Volcarona as a kind of savior or goddess. Pokemon Black says, "When volcanic ash darkened the atmosphere, it is said that Volcarona's fire provided a replacement for the sun." And Pokemon Shield, "This Pokemon emerges from a cocoon formed of raging flames. Ancient murals depict Volcarona as a deity of fire." And, as with all the best kaiju, whether this creature is truly benevolent or not is open to interpretation. Pokemon Scarlet says, "Its burning body causes it to be unpopular in hot parts of the world, but in cold ones, Volcarona is revered as an embodiment of the sun." Welcome back to Moyles on Mon, Larvesta.
This is the coolest bug. I love Larvesta and Volcarona. This was, I think, another member of my Gen 5 team. I think the way it's introduced, I can't remember if I'm getting confused with what I saw for it in Black 2, or if it was like this in Black 1 as well. But it's like, you catch it like in the bottom of a temple, like dedicated, like people are worshipping it because it looks like the sun, I guess. When it's, I mean, definitely with Larvesta, you've got kind of the little spindles come out of it looking like the sun. He looks like he's up to no good. And then Volcarona, just an obscenely powerful bug lad.
Now that I've only just started thinking about this, because it's a little bug that is also the sun, it reminds me of the thing that Solaire ends up wearing on his head in the bad ending in Dark Souls.
Yeah! Poor Solaire.
Or some would argue the good ending for Solaire.
Potentially. He found his son. And you can find your son at the bottom of that temple, I think.
Competitively, Volcarona has been a mainstay of dominant teams, thanks to exceptional special attack, combined with useful damaging typing. It lacks defensively, but the burning ability Flame Body makes opponents think twice about attacking it, while mechanics like Z-moves, Dynamax, and especially Terastallization can help it ignore its few downsides. The name Volcarona combines the heat of a volcano with the corona of the sun, capturing the Pokemon's majesty. The Japanese name, Ulgamoth, combines the Japanese pronunciation of the Roman god Volcanus with the Japanese word for moth, ga, and also the English word for moth, moth. Mothra isn't a fun, smashy dinosaur like Godzilla, but a more thoughtful kind of kaiju, and she is represented beautifully by a more majestic kind of powerful Pokemon. Original music for Luke Loves Pokemon is by Jonathan Cromie. Artwork is by Katie Groves. Funding is provided by listeners at patreon.com/podcastiopodcastius. For just $1 a month, supporters can listen to episodes a week early and also help cover hosting and fees, making it possible for me to keep making episodes every week. I love hearing from listeners. Get in touch about upcoming Pokemon on Twitter or Facebook at LukeLovesPKMN. Drop a comment if you're watching the video, or a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Coming up are Cobalion and Terrakion, so please get in touch about those or any other monsters. Even if you don't feel like doing any of that, thank you so much just for listening. I love Volcarona. And remember, I love you too.